Today, we're going to be looking at the Microjig Gr-Ripper and the Milescraft Grabber. Okay, they're pretty close in name, not close in price at all. This is about half the cost of this. We're going to look at these, we're going to compare them, we're going to see how this one holds up to this one that has stood the test of time. Let's get started. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the things I want to cover is just the fact that if you're using these style of push blocks for kind of one of their main selling feature, which is to be able to go over the blade on different styles of cuts, first thing you got to do is you got to remove the blade guard. When you do this, throw your riving knife on, do these cuts, whatever you've got to use this for, and then put that blade guard back on. Because this is still, it will work just fine as a regular push block as well. So it's not just for this specialty type cutting. That's just kind of one of the main features of it. First off, when you look at these two, the size differences, it's fairly substantial. So the Milescraft is quite a bit bigger. Other than that, they look fairly similar. So you can see here, like we've got this foot here on the side that slides up and down that we can use to adjust. This one does the exact same thing. One difference that I noticed is how this works on these two is there is this bar in here across this, and you just loosen this off here. On each end, you loosen this off, and then when you do, this will slide wherever you need it to go. So will this other one. Slides very easy on that bar. This one on the Gr-Ripper, it's similar, but it doesn't have the bar in there the same way. And so it can get a little, like right there, like bound up. And that's loose, like it's not because I haven't loosened it off. It gets a little bound up in there. So in my opinion, this one doesn't move near as smooth as that one does. So the two main differences between these two is that one, the handle on the Grabber from Milescraft it's slanted. And when I first saw this, I didn't think I was gonna like that very much. I thought it was kind of weird. But then when I put it in play and I started using it, I was like, I get it. I do like this. So not only am I pushing down, but you're naturally kind of pushing over. So it's helping to keep whatever I'm doing against the fence. And that goes into the second thing that is different about this. This has a foot on the back of it here that is adjustable. And I can raise or lower this foot as I need to. And that will allow me to hook a workpiece as I push it through. I thought this was a little bit weird at first, but I really like it now because I forgot something about these. I deal with a lot of plywood, and a lot of times when I'm pushing something like plywood, especially if it's any kind of UV coated plywood, it's slick. And so when I'm pushing it, I'm constantly doing this with the Gr-Ripper because even though they've got rubber pads on the bottom, it's still a little slick, and so it still wants to kind of move through like that. With this, that prevents that. Now, it's sacrificial, so eventually you're going to eat this up depending upon how many cuts you make. But you can buy replacement packs of these. I think it's about 5 of these little tabs here for like 10 bucks. So a couple bucks a piece. If you ended up buying this, I would say, and that was something that you were wanting to use it for, I would say it'd be worth getting the extras because that's going to be a big feature. And again, like I said, I didn't think that was really going to make that big a difference. But then once I started using it, I was reminded, and now there will be no more of this. This is going to hook it and push it right on through. Okay, so now we're going to make a couple of cuts here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this in, and I'm going to use this 1/4 inch piece here. So this is designed so that we can have a very thin cut on this side. We can go very small against the fence and push through. We want to make sure that as we do this, that the height of this is not going to hit the Grabber, I keep wanting to say Gr-Ripper, the Grabber as we go. So we're going to want to make sure that our height is set correctly on the blade so that we don't end up making this a sacrificial piece. So we're going to run a cut on this. I'm going to show you how this works. We'll do one on this one as well and kind of show the differences. And it'll be interesting to see like if I fight this, is it sliding without that shoe on this one. So let's give it a try. So right off the bat, you can see there's a big difference on those two. Now again, This is a UV coated plywood. This is a pre-finished plywood. So this top area here is slick. It could be that but that's a lot of times what I'm using this for, like if I'm using this to push. And so that's something that I run into a little bit, just a little bit of dust on this makes this thing pretty slick, even though it's got rubber pads. So this one would be the same way in my opinion, except that heel is making a big difference. Now let's go ahead, we're going to take this heel up out of the way and we're going to run it for like just say like a narrow piece, like we were going to rip like a 1x2 or something like that. The first thing we want to do is we want to set it up and make sure that everything's going to touch correctly. So I'm going to loosen this up on the grabber. Scoot this guy over just a little bit. Make sure that it's touching, but I'm not going to hit it with the blade when I go through. So that right there is probably pretty good. Now, the way that this foot on the side works, again, if you're not familiar with this, you're going to drop this down so that it's not rocking back and forth on top of that narrower piece. Now, I said a minute ago I was going to raise that heel back up, but I actually like that heel enough that I think I'm just going to go ahead and put it back down. Because if you're doing short pieces with this, this is where it would really shine. So as you can see, having that heel is extremely beneficial, and that's something that I thought was going to be very gimmicky at first when I saw it. But again, I just forgot what an issue, you know, I've just gotten used to when I use this, I'm pushing this through depending on what I'm doing and using another little piece or a push block or push stick or something to get that on through. Big benefit to that. So that's something that I think is probably, if not the only reason really to get this, because it's one of the main things that separates it from a safety perspective, is just being able to do this. You can just one-hand that through there very safely. So this is a 1/4 inch piece here that attaches here on the side. It also comes with a 1/8 inch piece, so it's super thin. You can unscrew this, put it back on, put the other one on, and now I can even get closer to the blade if I wanted to do that. So that's pretty impressive, and that's pretty cool that they've got that ability and can do that, because that's very handy. This one here looks to me like they're both about 1/4 here. So having that 1/8, I mean, that's another little bit of a benefit in my opinion. Everything else though is very comparable. They both feel heavy duty. They both feel really good. You do have to assemble the gripper a little bit more than I did the grabber, but really that's kind of where the long and short of it ends. I think that this is made in China, if I'm not mistaken, whereas this one says made in the USA. So that's something to consider if that matters to you. Great. The price difference though is this is almost half the cost of this. The biggest thing is you just got to get something that you're really comfortable with, that makes you feel safe and makes you do these jobs more safe. And in my opinion, just in how I felt just now working both of these little pieces, these smaller strips, I liked using this better because of that heel. It's the only real reason, only real benefit. Other than that, they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same pony. But with that heel, that's a big added benefit, especially the cheaper cost is also a benefit. So as you can see, both of these tools are totally viable. But if I was backing up and I was just buying one of these, I would just buy this. I know that this one's been around forever and everybody loves this, but just in my using it, this is safer. I like the feel of this better. Honestly, it's just a better tool in my opinion, and there's just a few little added features about it that make it better. So hopefully that helps you. There will be links in the description for both of these if you're interested in either one of them. If you choose to buy from those links, it doesn't cost you anything different. It just helps the channel out, and we greatly appreciate it. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. And other than that, y'all have a great one. We'll catch you next time.